Hello everyone, this is Raza Von Werder from the University of Mother God Church, talking again about my biography, and now I'm on my first husband, Stanley Everts. He was recently delivered. I began to say masses again a couple of weeks ago, and I've been saying mass every day for the souls in purgatory. My late husband, now I'm going to just give you this before I go into the rest of the story. He died in 1966, 2 years after we got together and got married, and my baby was 2 years old at the time. And shortly after he died, he appeared to me on a throne of flames, and he said, and he was filled with hate. The man was, you see, this is why the thought of him is so unpleasant. He was filled with hate. And he says, and he's on a throne of flames, like Lincoln at the Lincoln Memorial throne, with his arms sort of like this, and it's all in flames. And he says, "You have helped so many people, help me." He was demanding, "Help me, you've helped so many people." I didn't know I had helped so many people. Apparently, I have been helping people, even then, in purgatory, people in purgatory. And somehow he knew it. I don't know how he knew it. Since he was in flames, and every time I tried to pray, it would just I would just forget. I don't know why. And I said, "God, why do I forget? I try to pray to help him." And God said, "He's in a sort of hell." The word was hell. But, however, I have to say, 10 years later, he appeared to me again, and he had improved. He had improved. But he was still full of hate, so it couldn't be hell. There have to be places in purgatory that are like hell, in flames, but they're temporary. So 10 years later, he appeared to me. He was still full of hate toward me. And then 10 years later, once again, he appeared again, and he was still full of hate toward me. And at that point, I said, "God, that's it. Don't show me any more about him." Okay, so now this is another 20 years later. This is 55 years since he died. He was in purgatory. At this time, I started to say mass again. I was watching all these YouTube videos about people who went to heaven, went to hell, went to purgatory, and had all these experiences, and I go, why don't I say mass again? Because I used to say mass all the time. I used to even say 10 masses a day. I said, why don't I do that? Why don't I just help souls in purgatory again? And the masses only take 3 to 5 minutes. And so I started saying masses again. And then I remembered, you know, I asked God to block out Stanley Everts from my dreams so that I have no contact with him whatsoever. Maybe that was uncharitable of me. So I said, "God, take off that moratorium, and I'm willing to see him if you want me to." That very night, he ascended into heaven. He appeared to me, and he did not hate me anymore. This man hated me for 55 years for something I didn't do, because of the rape. He believed that man, Bill McCARDLE, that I had willingly had sex with him, and he refused to believe that he raped me, and he hated me for 55 years. But there's more to it. There's more to it. But anyway, he ascended on the 2nd of January, I think, because I started to say masses, and so he was a recipient. And he had no hate anymore, so the thought of him now is not ugly anymore. But he did hate me for 55 years, so that's not a happy memory. And he did try to kill me, tried to strangle me twice, and he did something else to me that was truly evil to me and his child. Okay, so now what happened is, that is why I became a well-known Hollywood model. Because now I was away from my husband, and I had no money. And so while in Hollywood, I had a list of famous photographers, which Adolph Barrow, the editor at Fawcett Books in New York City, had given me, but I had not yet contacted them all because I didn't have time. And Stanley used to rip up my pictures, so I could only sneak away once in a blue moon to work for photographers. I only did a couple times. But now I had no money, so I have my baby. And so I did two things. I called all the photographers, and whoever was available to take pictures of me did so. I also found an agency, I guess through the Yellow Pages. I don't remember how it was, you know. Through the Yellow Pages, I found an agency, and I went to the agency, and the agency paid $50 a day, and the agent got $10, and I got $40. So you multiply 4 times 5, that's $200. That was equivalent to $200 a day today, and that's what they're paying. I heard Hollywood models, when you join an agency, it's about, this was 10 years ago I heard about this, they pay them about $250 a day. And this was all nude modeling. This is not fashion. These are all the perverts. Or maybe not perverts. See, I shouldn't say that. I guess I'm being judgmental. But anyway, they're guys who want to see you naked and want to take pictures of you naked, and they usually want to pose with you naked, you know, one picture, which they're not supposed to do, but they try to sneak, most of them try to sneak that in. So that's how I became really an established, well-known Hollywood nude model. And that's why I eventually became one of the 1,000 most beautiful women of the last century that was chosen in St. Martin's Press book as one of the 1,000 most beautiful women of the last 100 years. Yeah, not 1,000 years, 100 years. 1,000 most beautiful women. I'm number 278. And that's because of the nude photos that were in all the magazines. And of course I also won a lot of beauty contests. Well, anyway, my husband tracked me down. Stanley discovered, he called up every motel and hotel there was that he could conceive that I'd be at, until he finally tracked me down. And then he came to visit me, and he said that he had gotten cancer again, and he needed me to help and take care of him. And I felt sorry for him. I mean, you know, even though he tried to kill me, I probably should have said, go ahead and die, son of a bitch. But I went back, and I took care of him, and he died right in front of me. His mother came, and his mother was there. And as he was dying, he called his mother's name, and his mother came and comforted him, and then he called my name, so I was the last person he called. It was after he died that I discovered how evil he was, truly evil. And that life insurance which the older man encouraged him to get even with me for his hate and for me leaving him, whatever, even though I came back to take care of him, he canceled his $20,000 life insurance so that he left not just me, who he hated, but his 2-year-old child penniless. When I buried him, I had literally $5 left. My mother-in-law, his mother, asked me, can you afford the funeral? Me, not knowing, I never got anything from anyone. Nobody ever gave me anything, so I said yes, which meant I'll pay my last penny, and then I'll have nothing, which I thought that meant you can afford it. See, I didn't understand what affording it meant. So this is what Stanley did to me. This is how hateful and evil he was. And my dad, when he came to visit me, he said, oh, he's a fine man. Oh, how stupid you people are. You don't study anybody. You don't look deeper than the skin. Just because he looked good and he was a teacher and he was polite, you assumed he was a decent man. He was not a decent man. He was an evil man. And he was in purgatory for the longest time of any person who I ministered to. Stanley Everts, my first husband. Now, what else did I leave out about him? Maybe that's it. To be continued. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next, but to be